I'm not going to say a single word about the Tennessee Titans record against the Indianapolis Colts because I was a punter, and there's no reason for me to talk about that. With that being said, we did not punt much against the Tennessee Titans, so you probably have no clue who I am to begin.
Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic, better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone, eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones. And you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long, pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling, squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion, they seeing double, they rushing and pass the shovel, the dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back, never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag, I go full contact, out punch, out kick like a shotgun.
Yeah. And we are back. And we promise you, no matter how sad the news is, we'll probably be a little bit sad too. But you know what? Don't even worry about all that, okay? Because we're here. We're here now, okay? So, without further ado, everybody in here, welcome back to the HorseShoe Mob podcast. We're coming to you everything Colts. And, like I said, we generally would slander some people, but you know what? We're not there today. All right. We've taken some losses on and off the field. So yeah, but we're gonna get into that later. But you know what? Let me just get into it, introduce the guys. We have with us the one, the only Senior Josh Senior.
It was good, everybody. Like you said, it ain't all bad, man. You could be a Titans fan.
Could be. Because they are sad. Very, very sad. All right. And then we have with us the man, the silent myth, the legend, Austin Cook, everybody.
What's up? I'm Austin.
Yes. And I'm your friendly neighborhood Chris Jackson. So yeah,
Friendly.
as friendly, yes, extremely. Don't question me. Don't question me. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you know what? Let's get into some comments. We have Tony Velez on Facebook saying "Gold Colts," and then we have Kavika Hall talking about when it rains, it fucking pours. Nindy, and they said Trevor
Yeah,
Lawrence is just good. That is not elite. Fair assumptions.
I respect
But
that.
before we go any further, got to make sure that we shout out www.fanbattlesports.com. Make sure that you're going there. We have articles for not just the Colts, but also the other three AFC South teams in the division. You can see articles. You'll be also able to see past episodes. And yeah, so make sure that you're visiting www.fanbattlesports.com. And without further ado, let's just get into it, okay? Fellas, how we feeling today?
I'm feeling PED.
Okay, so with all due respect, what the hell does that mean?
I'm feeling like Grover Stewart right now. That's my twin. So we feeling like, I need to miss 6 games.
You do look like Grover Stewart. I actually thought about it.
That's
You
my
look
twin.
like you look like Grover Stewart off Wish. It's just like, yeah, you got most of the attributes. It's just like,
Yeah. Hey, anybody want to send me a jersey? I can wear it for Halloween and be Grover Stewart and get some autographs.
How about you buy it? You buy all the jerseys anyway. You do it. I mean, maybe not after this. And then we have Jeremiah McDonald on Facebook saying it's not over yet, boys. Go Colts, believe. We're with you. We're with you. But you know what, guys? Let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, we're gonna go over some news real quick because, like I said, we have to make sure that we cover this news. So came out today amidst nothing at all. Grover Stewart suspended for 6 games for being popped for performance enhancing drugs. What the absolute hell is going on? And like I said, guys, you know what? Just react. I ain't even gonna call nobody. Just react because I don't know.
I mean, he's the last person on the team that I would think would do PEDs. So, like, he had his apology. I don't think it was like intentional. I don't think he was taking actual performance enhancing drugs. I think it was in something, maybe that meat thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
I think it happened when they was eating through the schedule.
Is this gonna be one of those episodes, Josh?
No, it's not.
Is this gonna be one of those episodes? I really feel like it's gonna be one of those episodes.
It's not. It's
if
not.
It is, just let me know now. Okay? How about
I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed in the guy that we rely on the most to stop the run. That's what this is me lashing out. But I can.
I mean, he's the true definition of a nose tackle. Like he literally he clogs up that hole and is actually able to be athletic enough to be able to make sure that he's controlling a certain amount of the gap to make sure that the run isn't effective. And I mean, we're moving into a stretch where it's just like we're running into teams where, I mean, even the Browns, like I know that Nick Chubb isn't there, but at the same time, the Browns' identity is that of
run the ball
to run very efficiently. So I don't know. Like he released the apology. He said that he was unaware. Are we? Because like I said, it's just like for me personally, when he says that he didn't know, I believe it. Because I mean, this is a guy who is in the, of course, last year of his contract, but this is also a guy who has never ever been involved in anything of this caliber. So I mean, it's like I mean, Austin, are you believing, like I said, that apology, and like, are we believing that it's just like this was something that was just 100% like by accident, unintentional?
Yeah, I mean, I believe him. There's some people, some players, you think would do dumb stuff, but like I said, he's just not one of them.
Like Taylor won. His was intentional because he stayed hurt a lot. But Grover been pretty healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the reason why it's just so weird to have somebody like him who not just for in the game, but I mean for the locker room, like he's a fan favorite. This is somebody who like embodies what it is to just be like a true team player, and to have something like that, it's just like it's just strange. Now they did say that there was a statement released shortly after about like contaminated meat containing a certain chemical that actually has been proven to, or the chemical is on the ban list
Yeah.
for those things. And I mean, Grove is a big dude. He's a 300 pounder. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it's much more likely that it's just like he ate something, contaminated that had it than he actually did using, like an anabolic steroid or something like that.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, man. I doubt he did something illegal. I mean, like you said, he's the last guy on the team that you think would, do something to jeopardize himself in a contract year and his team. I mean, their run defense, besides one game, it's been pretty good this season. I
Yeah.
mean, even ETN didn't have a good. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns, but he didn't have a big game on the run
Yeah,
game.
well, I mean, and Travis Etienne, it's just like he had 18 rushes for 55 yards. I mean, honestly, it's just like I think the one play that I think you're referencing was a wildcat play, where the
Yeah,
wildcat play was designed to have specific blocks upfield, and I think even then, like that one in particular, it wasn't meant for that to be as impactful as it was. So yeah, like that to me personally, it's just like it doesn't give it any extra merit. But
yeah.
like I said, that's just where we are at this particular moment, right? But I like I said, I know that this is a huge blow. I feel like he's going to be able to I feel like he's going to be able to appeal it. And like I said, I believe it's going to be something that's a food thing. So, hopefully he's back
So if
sooner
they
rather
appeal it,
than
will they
later.
drop the games, or he not being back to starting Sunday?
Well, so if he appeals it and is successful, because I also do feel or I believe that if he appeals it, there's a certain appeal process. I think that
Hmm.
ultimately takes him out possibly for this game.
Okay.
And so if that's the case, then yeah. Because like I said, right now he's suspended for 6 games without pay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's probably going to be something that's very impactful of that as well. So yeah. All right. And then Hurry says, time to move on from Ballard. This is turning into a train wreck. And Gabe Ruiz says, denial ain't just a river in Egypt. Wait,
Yeah.
isn't Ruiz?
He a Titans fan. Yeah, he hadn't been showing up since they've been getting their ass whooped, especially against us. So yeah, Gabriel, do that DX, and yeah.
Oh,
Go
hey. Hey, whoa. What? What the hell? Like, Jesus. Yeah,
And Mama,
well, I
if
mean,
you're seeing this, it's not my fault.
yeah, one thing that Gabe can't deny is the fact that Zach Moss is still beating Derrick Henry in rushing, and Zach Moss has one less game. But you know what? We're not gonna get petty like that. But I always got time to slander a Titans fan.
Oh
So
yeah.
with that being said, just how because I know we alluded to it a little bit before, but how does this change the complexity of how teams are looking at their offensive approach?
And that's a big blow. I mean, that's a big body that we don't have that could replace that production. We can't. Usually you say, hey, this guy come out, you know, Leonard come out, we good. We got EJ, we got Zaire Franklin. You know, this edge rusher go out, Pay go out, we got Dio. But Grover go out. Who do we replace him with?
Yeah.
Taven Bryant. No. What's the other guy from Northwestern?
Adi.
Yeah, I can't say his name.
Howdy.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Go what Austin says. And again, I don't think he played all year yet. If he did, it'd been limited snaps, or maybe possibly on special teams. So I don't know what his impact will be starting in that role. I guess you have to go with Taven Bryant, since he been in the league for 5-6 years and got the experience at that position. Coming from Jacksonville and Cleveland. So I don't know. That's a big blow, man. That's tough to replace.
Yeah, but I mean, but it absolutely is tough to replace. But I think, Taven Bryan's time in the league definitely doesn't help his case when it comes down to what he's doing or, how capable he is. Because I mean, honestly, I think we're his third team since he's been in the league, and I mean, he was a first rounder. So
Yep.
this is somebody who absolutely, you know, I mean, I have a feeling he might be able to just come in and maybe help out some, but I mean, you do lose an immediate impact when it comes down to what he's actually able to do. So now
You just got to
moving,
rely on Samson because he's a good run stopper as well on the edge. Rely on
yeah,
something with the packages.
Simpson's been pretty good. I just wonder if now it's just like it's going to free up that opportunity to double team Buck a little bit more.
Probably so.
So yeah, that's that's just I'm gonna say that's where my mindset is when it comes to that. So yeah, but enough of that. Let's just get right into it. Right? Let's just get right into it. Colts versus Jags analysis. This is I think we knew what it was coming into the game. We knew that we hadn't beaten them in Jacksonville in 9 years or 8 years. Because they said 9 home games, but one of those home games was in London. So if you want to count that, then that's fine. Since London is their home away from home.
That's it right
But
there.
but yes, you're welcome. But just so the analysis, guys, just go ahead and react to the game. And as a matter of fact, just give me the walkthrough because there's a lot to unpack and then also just kind of get back into.
Turnovers killed us, and one was a fumble by Minshew, and the other 3 were bad throws by Minshew.
Yeah.
We could just never really get it going. We had a few decent plays towards the end of the game, but other than that, we didn't really get anything going on offense.
Yeah. And I mean, you saw like early on how much they were struggling. It almost seemed like the Jags pretty much game plan to be able to just play Gardner Minshew, right?
Yeah.
Because we heard that they said that they have the game plan is the same whether it's Richardson or Minshew, but that's not true because if we're talking about the game plan being the same, then you're talking about guys who have similar skill sets. Gardner Minshew, in terms of a passer, is a little bit more fundamentally sound, but he doesn't have that mobility. I think he can move if he needs to, but otherwise he doesn't. And now, we saw that in how Jacksonville attacked with making sure that they're dropping guys in the coverage, but making sure that they're putting out enough of a pass rush to make it so that he's I'm going to say he's rushed on almost every single drop back. And I mean, that showed in them going after him early. That showed in him going. I'm going to say them basically just saying, okay, well, you know what? You're going to have to beat us on the run, but then we only ran 15 times. It's almost like they wanted to set the tone. But what did you see, Josh? Because I mean, like I said, I could be wrong or I could be inaccurate in what I'm saying when it comes to how I viewed the game.
I mean, after what we all saw, there's no wrong answer on the outcome or the result of the game because outside of that first drive where it looked real good, went down the field pretty easily, got 3 points, pretty much throwing the ball. I guess they thought, okay, hey, this worked out in the first drive, that we can continue. So then the second drive, which resulted in a fumble, led to now it's a 14-3 lead, and now we severely behind. And we just never did shake back from that. So we definitely had to abandon the run. I thought we could have kept running. Even 14-3, yes, it's a nice league, but the game is not over yet. You got a whole nother half. You can continue establishing that run to where they don't, like you said, keep blitzing Gardner Minshew, force him to throw off his back foot to Pittman.
Yeah.
Every time he got picked off, because I saw something saying that his intended receiver was Pittman each pick, and Devin Lloyd had like 6 of them he dropped.
There were a bunch of them. Like there would have been a lot more if they would have actually been ready to pick him off. There were guys who were in the area where it hit him right in the hands, and they didn't like it. They missed it. And I
Right, that
mean,
was
these
hungry.
were it could have. I mean, honestly, it could have been double that. It really just could have been double that. But like I said, I think we were spared by the fact that Jacksonville just really didn't know what to do when it came down to getting those extra turnovers after everything was said and done.
And like both of you guys said, I mean, like you said, Gardner, that was his career high in passing
Yeah,
attempts. So, I mean, you pass the ball to a defense that's been pretty much a ball hawk. I think they lead the league in turnovers. I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure, and then you set your defense didn't do you any justice. You know, leaving a Christian Kirk wide open before half. I mean, really, they kind of contained him like you say they would.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, Ingram was getting catches. I mean, it was just in Bisbee and ETN was doing damage. Even Trevor was getting out of the pocket, cooking. So nothing worked well for us. I mean,
yeah,
despite all that, they scored 37 points, but they only had 200 some yards total of offense. So it was still kind of good in that part. So I'm not
yeah.
too big. I'm not down on that, but yeah, overall bad game. We didn't prepare ourselves. The coach owned it. The players owned it. We just got to come back next week.
Yeah. And it was when you see a game like that where you see that there was 37 points scored, you're just like, dang, okay. But then if you look at how the game actually went, and you look at the stats afterwards, I mean, Trevor Lawrence had a good day, but it wasn't a great day because if we're looking at everything, Gardner Minshew threw 55 passes, and Trevor Lawrence threw, I believe he threw 30. And I think between the both of them, Gardner Minshew had about 60. He had a 60% completion rate, and I think Trevor Lawrence had about 66%. So I mean, it's honestly extremely similar in how the two kind of were able to play, but it just happened to be that Gardner Minshew just had a very, very tough time not turning the ball over. And not only that, but I mean, I think this was probably the first game where you kind of question Shane Steichen's play calling because you're coming off of a game where you had over 165 yards of total offense with one running back, and Zach Moss had 7 carries.
Yeah, and
And
JT.
no matter
Yeah,
what, and
how many
JT had I think about, I want to
12
say
maybe?
8. No, he had less than that. I think
Okay.
he had 8, I believe. Matter of fact, just checking. Hold on. JT had 8. Yep, he had 8. So Zach Moss was 7 for 21, and JT was 8 for 19.
I
So
got you.
that kind of lets you know exactly how things were and how things happen. I mean, we could even if the run isn't working, at that point you're just trying to see about chewing up clock. And I mean, it was like I said, it was the first game of Shane Steichen where I'm just like, yo, what are you doing?
But you know what?
This
This not the
doesn't make
first
any
game.
sense.
This not the first game because week 1, AR had a lot of passing attempts as well too. I think he had close to 40, or I think he had 40. So
Yeah.
it was the same game plan. We didn't run the ball. We did a lot of passing. He should have learned from week 1 and week 6. He did the same thing. So if you count both passing attempts from both quarterbacks as over 100 pass attempts in 2 games against your rivalry.
Well, the other thing was that remember week 1 we had Deion Jackson starting, and then you had Evan Hall and Jake Funk. Now, Deion Jackson turned the ball over drastically. He had 13 rushes for 14 yards. But then you had Evan Hall who came in and was able to actually do some pretty decent things until he got hurt. And then Jake Funk wasn't able to really get anything going either. So if we're talking about how everything went, even if they were stopping the run this time, you have your guys. I mean, Zach Moss right now is second in the league in rushing after missing a game and then having a bad game this past game. So, I mean, if we're being completely real, like it's a proven formula. Even if he doesn't have that one, even if he's not getting those yards up front, he's going to be able to do them as long as you're giving him the opportunity. But with only 15 rushes out of 70 total offensive plays, you're not putting Gardner Minshew in the right position, knowing that these people are going to be looking to go ahead and pick him off at every single turn.
I agree. I mean, like you said, even with like you said, even with the limited touches, he went from 3 to 2 in rushing. As you say, he was third going into the game, but he moved slightly up because the Miami running back is hurt.
Yeah, and I think the only person above him is McCaffrey. It's McCaffrey. So I mean, and like I said, that is something that it is good to look forward to, because I think even with him and McCaffrey, I think there's maybe about 87-yard difference between them. And once again, this is with Zach Moss missing a game
and being a backup.
Yeah, so I mean that's what it is. But so we're not going to harp too much on the best of, because we did actually have some very good things. Now, Josh Downs, we know who he is. We know that he's a guy who plays tough, plays. He's a dog. He plays ball. So he got his first touchdown of the season. And I mean, this is after we saw him just kind of, just go and hit those different routes, making defenders miss. I mean, he's probably the one wide receiver outside of our wide receiver one, who's Michael Pittman Jr., that I'm like super duper excited about, because I mean, he's a dog. Like, it's just like he plays like a poor man Steve Smith, which honestly is just like definitely a compliment, because I mean, Steve Smith was a dog too.
I agree.
But then we saw another rookie first, Juju Brents, getting a great pick. I mean, basically just sitting in coverage, had his first pick thrown to him. And this is somebody who also didn't start off the season. I mean, they said that he was a scratch. I think he didn't play until Baltimore.
Right.
And then, we saw him in last week's game, where even though D-Hop had a good game, I don't think it was reflected enough exactly how well he did. Given that he played him. And I mean, there were a couple reps where he's playing on Calvin Ridley and basically taking Calvin Ridley. Now, mind you, Calvin Ridley killed us last game.
Yes.
And he killed us last game without Brents in the lineup. But then in this game, where you have Brents in the lineup, Calvin Ridley isn't even their best receiver on the day. I think their best receiver on the day was Christian Kirk. And then after that, Calvin Ridley had 4 receptions on 8 targets for 30 yards.
He did good. I think he got a deflection, or he was, he got a deflection while defending Ridley. He got the interception while defending Kirk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, so I think these two guys they've been kind of overlooked. I think this game was a game where they were overlooked because of the fact that it was a losing effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, to see like these guys are very heavily lauded. And I know that people feel a way about Ballard, but these are Ballard's guys. And so, I mean, like I said, you can feel however you want to feel. I mean, I do feel like there's some things that Ballard absolutely does need to improve on, but I mean, this draft is paying dividends already. I think Blake Freeland also had to play. And,
right tackle.
Yep, he had to play right tackle for Braden Smith, who was out. So, you already see these guys kind of, I'm going to say playing their roles, doing what they need to. And I think that they definitely do need more of that highlight, because, Lord, Brent's getting that pick was a big energy boost in the game that was otherwise dead from like a fan base and from like an actual like team perspective. And then Downs just getting that touchdown was just it was great. It was great to see him do it, especially since he didn't, or I'm going to say he hadn't gotten one up until this point, but then he had that fantastic game last week. Now, moving on, right? Speaking of rookies, Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Anthony Richardson, we've heard numerous things. We've heard 4 to 6 weeks. We've heard it could be season ending. We've heard they're leaning towards season ending. We saw him at the game with the brace on, without the brace on. Basically, I mean, at this point, we don't know what's happening. And so my question is, with all the anonymity and everything else that we've seen in regards to the fact that we haven't heard anything, like we haven't heard anything else. There's nothing that's been definitive. We've heard people speculate, but there hasn't been anything concrete. So, I mean, do we want him back this season, or do we want just for him to go ahead and say, you know what, season just get the surgery, let it be season ending, get your mental reps, go ahead and just see the game, whatever, and then come back next year so we can retool. Like, how are you guys feeling about that? Because I know, like I said, a lot of people are split, only because of the fact that we've been super competitive, but at the same time, there's also a very, very long future to look forward to.
Yeah. Do I want him back this season? I personally do, but if he needs the surgery, like if he's forcing it to come back,
Yeah.
I don't want that. But like if he can come back and like be okay, I would want him to play.
Yeah. Josh, you seem perplexed. You seem perplexed.
Well, see, the thing is, it's like kind of what Austin is saying. It's like, we don't want to force him to come back, and he shouldn't force himself to come back because I know he wants to play. The guy wants to play. The guy's out here signing autographs. I mean, the guy could be at home resting, healing, and he's traveling with the team. It shows his character at 21 years old. He wants to be out there, and if he can play, and without any further damage to his shoulder, let him heal for those 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, I saw Pat McAfee show where Adam was saying that he got different opinions as well. He said at first it was a grade 3, possibly grade 2, to where he can come back. So I mean, we don't know. There's a lot of things going, pulling from different directions. Irsay saying that it probably end the season. So they're probably allowing Anthony Richardson to make the decision. So I don't know what's what. I mean, but yes, my opinion as a fan and a fan of his development, if he can play and they are allowing him to, and there's no damage. They said everything is just, just a sprain, and he's able to come back. Why not? Especially if it's going to help his growth. A year early because he only played with one game. Well, 2 games because
he's only played through one game.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's only played through one game specifically. So yes, yeah, you are correct.
I tried to say the first game because he played up until the 4th quarter with like 2-3 minutes ago. I mean, but I got you. Yeah. And I mean, it helps his growth. I mean, we'll be in the same position next year if he decides to go ahead season ending to where he got to develop again next year all over again. So now we won't be a year ahead. We'll be a year behind.
Okay. So for me personally, the selfish fan in me wants to say, yes, you have to play. If you can come back this year, then yes, come back because we're 3-3. I don't think like it's a one game. So, well, outside of the fact that it's the Jags, it's a one game difference with the Jags in order for us to be able to do that, in order for us to be able to lead division. And I mean, this team is farther along than we ever thought they could be. But the only issue that you run into is the fact that you eventually have to think into the long term. Because you know what? It's just like rest 4 to 6 weeks, come back, and this offense is going to be great. But the thing is, if he doesn't properly rest that, a fall on that particular shoulder could end up having grave consequences if it were to happen again. And we see how much of a freak accident this was. But do we really want to go ahead and have that happen again? And then you end up having him have to rehab and almost looking like, oh yeah, he's not going to be back, because then you have to potentially go and get another quarterback.
I mean,
And I don't think
it's no different than Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles and trying to come back.
yeah, but there's a difference between an Achilles and an AC joint, especially in your throwing shoulder.
But he's
Because
old.
well, like I said, it's Aaron Rodgers has had his fair share of injuries, but once again, it's just like the AC joint is just so specific in terms of how it is, especially for a quarterback. And
Mhm.
this is an AC joint in his throwing shoulder, which means that
Right.
it's that much more vital that it heals properly. That if it doesn't heal properly, that potentially messes up how he throws the ball as a quarterback.
Hmm.
So that's when it gets to the point where it's like, what do you do? But I mean, for me, like I said, I want to be selfish and say, yeah, heal up 4 to 6 weeks, cool. But I mean, honestly, it's like he has a bright future ahead of him with the organization. And I think trying to rush him back now for the sake of us going to the playoffs, this team isn't going to win a Super Bowl. This
But
team is not going to win a Super Bowl.
we weren't saying rush though. We were saying like if it heals like it's supposed to with the time frame, with the estimated time frame 4 to 6 or 8 weeks. If
Yeah.
it's healing, if it's healing at that time frame and he's able to come back. If he's not able to come back, sit his ass out. That's where I'm at. But if he's able to heal within that month or so, month and a half,
Yeah.
then he can play. Then the team doctor and everybody organization agree to it along with him, and as everything is in place and he's healing and can throw, then and he's able to play, then do it. Don't do it because, like I said, for a playoff spot, for a winning division. Don't do that for that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And that's the reason why I'm just like I said, because of course it's stressful, it's distressing to have to go through something like this again, but at the same time it's like we have a chance to, I'm gonna say, correct the mistakes of the past and get to a point where we don't have to sit there and say, oh yeah, well, he needs to come back and he needs to come back. Because I mean, honestly, it's just like I don't know if you guys remember at all or anybody, but like I said, I have us going 6 wins, right? I think as we I think as we move forward in the season, I think we see that, like I said, it's just like we had 6 wins. I think, I think a lot of people, they had a ceiling of about 10, maybe 11, but like I said, on the lower end it was about 6 to 8. If for some reason we end up, let's just say, in this 3-3 stretch, if we end up going 3-8 for the rest of the season, then we're not too far off, because we know that this is a young team. We know that we definitely need to get pieces for the O-line, for the secondary, possibly even a wide receiver. But at least we know exactly what it is that we'd be looking to do. But we know that 6-11 is a great increase over a 4-13 that we had last year.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, with relatively almost the same squad without players like Gilmore or McLeod or people like them. So I mean, to be able to add on 2 wins after subtracting guys and not having people like Bobbio or Gilmore or McLeod, it's like I think that's a testament to the fact that this team actually can be good. But that's where we're at currently.
Only thing is too is I know we didn't touch on this, but what are we going to do for us wide receiver help with possibly losing Alec Pierce?
I mean,
I saw
honestly, I
Juwan
think
Winfrey or something like that. I seen him get signed.
so. I mean, can we can be honest with each other, right?
Hey, you know how I am.
We can be honest with each other.
Go ahead.
Alec Pierce still has a lot, and I mean a lot, to prove in terms of what he's doing this year. For the year so far, he has 11 receptions for 149 yards. He's averaging 24 yards a game. And you know what? He make a hell of a catch with that one-handed snag that he had? Absolutely. But let's not let that cloud the fact that Alec Pierce hasn't contributed. And
Yeah, they call him Alec Beckham.
yeah, well, but you know what? But like that's the issue. So the thing is, we're
Yeah,
just like, oh yeah, we need to find somebody to replace Alec Pierce. I mean, no, we just need to find somebody who's going to be productive.
true.
Because right now, Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs are the two best receivers that we have. Am I right or am I wrong?
I
I
mean,
mean,
it would have been dueling, but we don't have him right now. So
we're not talking about people who aren't here.
I know. I mean, I'm just saying that it hurts not having him as well.
Fair, okay, all right, that's fine. And so the issue that we have is that we don't have anybody outside of Pittman and Downs. Now, the thing is, not having anybody outside of Pittman and Downs is a good problem to have because I think this shows that Downs is absolutely getting involved. Like he's making plays where he can actually make plays and put
Hmm.
himself in position to just absolutely just go bonkers. But the thing is the run and the pass game have to come together properly. And as of right now, they aren't coming together the way that we would like them to. But when they do, oh yeah, we'll be fantastic. But as of right now, it's just tough. I mean, like I said, Michael Pittman has 40 receptions for 406 yards. So that means he's averaging 10 yards a catch, which means that he's averaging a first down every single catch that he makes. So I mean, like it's that type of volume that we know for a fact that he can get, but we have to be able to go ahead and just spread the ball around freely the way that we know we can. And that just hasn't been able to be accomplished because our games have either been super pass heavy or super run heavy. I don't think we've had like a truly balanced game yet, except for maybe like the game against the Titans last week for a little while, and that's when AR got hurt. So
I do have a question for both of you, and I know it's Alpha will be that we don't. It's not on his tickers. So, do you think having a happy, Jonathan Taylor back and have a running back that's second in the league in rushing, they're not meshing. Not saying that those two not meshing, but trying to find balance of having a guy that's second in rushing, and having a guy that's your all pro back. You just paid him, he's excited, and you're just ramping up his practice to where he can take over that load. You think that's they're trying to see how they manage that because it's kind of it's kind of hard to say, okay, hey, JT, you're the man now, but we got a guy that's second in rushing. I mean, what you think about that? Like, is there something to where they're trying to manage that? I'm worried not that it's a healthy problem, but I'm worried that they're gonna try to feed more of Zach, and limit what JT can do.
So I'm gonna kind of phrase it in this way, right? So let's just say you're sparring boxing with somebody, and I mean, it's just like they're punching, like they're about your height, maybe like about your same weight, but they punch a little bit faster than you, right? And they're punching at you, boom, 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 and then the thing is, they're to a certain extent getting the best of you, kind of gassing you a little bit, right? So then they say, all right, you're going to get a 15-second break, and then we're going to come back into it. Dude leaves, and they bring in a guy that's fresh, your exact weight, your exact height, a similar strength, and he's coming in fresh. Now, mind you, you're kind of worn down, but you have to be able to defend yourself. Otherwise, this guy's going to knock you out. That's where we are right now when it comes to Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. Because the thing is, Zach Moss is a guy who can be physical, who can absolutely be fantastic at what he does because of the fact that he's able to run, he's able to he's able to go ahead and take those hits, but then he's also a home run threat, right? But then you insert JT into these offenses where Zach Moss has been having these guys just go and just try to tackle him. It's full contact, full contact, full contact. And then JT comes in, or vice versa. You can start off with JT, and you're sitting there trying to catch him. He's gassing you out, but then You have Zach Moss coming at you, who's a strong back, where you're gonna try to, or you have to try to tackle him when you know for a fact that you're not at 100% to be able to do so.
But see, the reason I ask that is that you got a guy that's can potential win the rushing title right now. With with CMC being might be out, and he's a healthy back, and he's getting those touches. He got the potential to get in a contract year to win the rushing title and get paid, versus a guy that's already paid and he's ramping up his carries each game. So it's like, okay, like can we? It's like it's a balance. Okay, JT, you just got paid. We want to get you touches. Zach Moss, you're second in rushing, but you have the opportunity to now take over the top spot in rushing. So it's kind of like, what do they do? Do they be selfish? Say, hey, JT, you get 20 carries and only give Moss 10 carries, or do they kind of split those carries up to where they both are happy?
Well, also, let's go ahead and call a spade a spade. The way that they used JT in this game, they had him running and they had him receiving. So the thing is, I do think that we do see some of that volume out of him, because I mean, for the one play that they did have where he went across the field, he caught the ball and he was able to turn it up, because I mean, that's the kind of breakaway speed that he has.
Right.
So I think we'll also see JT kind of used in a way that is going to be more of a weapon instead of just him being a running back. Where, like I said, it's just like, I mean, you've been successful with Zach Moss, and there's no doubt about it. But I think now is when you're going to start to see him just going and, excuse me, just kind of like running, well, for lack of a better word, no pun intended, but running away with what he's supposed to do in terms of him being that bruising back that teams just don't want to hit repeatedly. Because I mean, it's like I said, the evolution of the game has been everybody needs to be faster, everybody needs to be taller, and everything needs to be like that. But the thing is, if you are somebody who can still play in the same way that you were playing when it was like a smash mouth kind of like punch you in the mouth football league, then I think that's going to be better suited for that. That's why like a guy like Nick Chubb was able to do as well as he was, because I mean, he was the closest thing that you can get to somebody like a Walter Payton or something like that, where it's just like he's strong as hell and you don't want to tackle him because he's strong as hell.
Correct.
So that's just what I feel in terms of that two-headed monster. But really quickly, only because we've heard about it, we've talked about him. Chris Ballard. This far into the season, how are we feeling about what's been done to make sure that this team is prepared, to make sure that this team is in the right position to win and do all those things that we thought that he did this offseason? Like, how do we feel about what he's done up until now?
Just talking about this year.
Yeah, this year.
I feel like he drafted well, like you mentioned earlier. And he picked up Samson. Like, everybody didn't know how he was going to be, if he was going to be better than what Yannick was last year for us. And he's really been a good part of our defense. So I feel like that was a really good pickup. I mean, obviously we've had some issues at wide receiver other than our two that we've mentioned already, Pittman and Down.
Yeah.
And then we knew coming into the year our secondary was young, but I think that he wanted to go with the young guys. So, I mean, I don't really have a problem with that as long as they keep progressing.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I just, allude to what Austin was saying. I mean, this one is good drafts he had. I mean, like you said, we got a receiver, we got tackle and Freeland, who stepped in, nicely for Brady Smith. I mean, signing, Sampson, getting Matt Gay. We had troubles with kicking for a long time, and Matt Gay, you saw what he did 2 weeks ago, and I mean it's a stress relief having a kicker that can kick 50, over 50 yards. It's pretty much in money. Like I said, having Sampson, he's getting real good pressure along with Quiddy Pay. I mean, we got to get. I mean, I've been down on Chris Battle for years, but it's time for me to get him his due. He done well. Got us 3-3, could be 0-6.
Yeah.
And we still saying the same thing that we have no O line depth. We have no this. We have no that. I didn't like having 4 receivers or 5 receivers coming into the season, but it seemed like things been working well. Like I said, we knew the secondary was young, but I'm glad they're taking accountability for Baker being out there getting cooked, so they didn't put his ass out there again. I appreciate that because losing Flowers that was tough, but Juju Brents came out. Losing Flowers, but you insert Brents, and he's learning. It's gonna be a learning curve. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Jalen Jones. Matter of fact, he took Baker's spot, and Kenny Moore is having a good season so far right now. So and Julian Blackman, he's back. It's just we got to get credit. Zaire Franklin, he's 6th-round pick, 7th-round pick. The guy is leading in tackles right now. EJ Speed. He's doing. Everybody's making plays even without Shaq as being his normal self. So get his guys credit. Get his guy his due. I'm not saying he should be executive of the year, but give his guys some type of credit to where we sitting at 3-3. We had a bad loss, but we, any other year we sitting at 1-5. We see we trying to climb back in to make ourselves, be in some type of contention of either a division or have a playoff spot. We're sitting at 3-3. And we're ranked 23 instead of 31. Come on, guys. We gotta. Not you guys, but our fan base sometimes do that. They always ready to just hang somebody for doing something like There's no way Ballard had any control of Grover Stewart. No control of that. So we can't blame him for that.
I get that. I understand that. For me, I think it's a mixed bag. I think Chris Ballard has some tendencies that kind of irritate me because he's proven time and time again that if he believes in you, he will keep you there for a very, very long time. Like it took him a very, very long time to get rid of Ben Banagoo. And, I think also now we saw Tyquan Lewis show flashes, but I think Tyquan Lewis is another one who I don't know that this is it. I don't think he's it.
Should be done.
He
on 1 year deal. He should be done.
And the biggest issue that I have is that Chris Ballard has kind of cheaped his way through things, and in hopes that it works. Like to me personally, the McKenzie signing, it was not. It was a BS thing. It was like you lost Paris Campbell, and then you got the wish version of Paris Campbell. And McKenzie, in terms of his contributions to this offense, hasn't really been much. Like he has. I think I can count on one hand how many first down conversions he's had, but when it comes down to it, he hasn't really done much of anything. And
now I want to ask you this before you finish your sentence.
Yeah.
Is he more durable than Paris Campbell? Or has he been more durable?
The season,
outside of last year, Paris Campbell played the whole season. But before then, he played 1 game, 2 games out for the year. But the package they have McKenzie in, he's done well. Like I said, it might not have been result in big yardage or first downs, but he's been serviceable. That's the only word I can use because he haven't made a big impact. But Paris Campbell only did what he did to get a contract with another team. We didn't re-sign him because he wasn't going to be healthy. And he's not doing good where he's at now. The whole team ain't doing good.
Well, the team as a whole is bad, but that's just because they don't have a quarterback. If we're being completely honest. But the thing is, if we're also being completely honest, you re-signed or you signed McKenzie to come in because he was going to be a speedster and he's going to be this guy, and he has 39 yards on the year. Now, mind you, is Paris Campbell doing any better? No, because if we're being completely honest, he has 85 yards on the season, and
making a lot of
he
money.
doesn't have a quarterback because Daniel Jones is booty
Ass.
cheek juice.
Yeah.
He is the embodiment of a trash can. He makes Oscar the Grouch look like Mr. Clean. Like it's that's how bad he is as a quarterback. But like I said, it's just like it's kind of like cheaping your way through things. Now I did like the Ibukum signing because to me it felt like Ibukum the was the run version of what Ngakwe was. Ngakwe was a good pass rusher who was an absolute liability when it came down to run defense. But now we have somebody who can play the run, who actually showed that he has some great qualities when it comes down to the actual pass rush. So, to me personally, I think that that's been a great thing. Now, I think it's also the fact of what's kind of saving Chris Ballard this year is that Shane Steichen has been able to just do great things with what he's been given, right? So he's drawing up plans where Michael Pittman Jr. is out there getting the ball. He's doing great things when it comes down to Josh Downs. He's drawn up a run game or a running game plan that has been fantastic, except for this past game. And you see exactly what this team is kind of what it's made of. Now, can it be better? Absolutely. But also going into next season, that's kind of worrying because now it's just like Chris Ballard says, oh yeah, well we're doing all right with what we have, so we don't really need much. We can just rely on the draft. Whereas if you can go and you can potentially make a play to go and get somebody that you know is going to be a playmaker, to get somebody who you know is going to be able to contribute immediately, is he going to cheap his way through that, or is Shane going to say, hey, I need that guy for this team because he would be fantastic? Like that's the biggest issue that I'm gonna say that's the biggest issue that I have when it comes to Ballard, and I think that alone just kind of scares me because it's just like, will he ever just go and say, you know what, I'm gonna move out my own way because this is what we need to get this team to be fantastic.
Well, I mean, Shane. I mean, we quit. I mean, it is good. It is a good thought process, but Shane is the reason why Deion Jackson is somewhere else. Shane's the reason why Daryl Baker is not starting anymore. Had it been
Yeah,
Frank, he'd been still been playing. But Shane, so we got to give Shane some credit of having decision making. I mean, yeah, they go work hand in hand. I mean, coaching and GM, and he know he gonna need more weapons in order for his quarterback to succeed. I mean, if you don't have any weapons, if you don't have, you think that we're content with having Allen Pierce, Downs, and Pittman, and a slew of tight ends, then we just the Patriots again. We
yeah,
don't need to be that. We need to be have our own identity, which we don't really have right now outside of the run game.
yeah,
We need another weapon. We shouldn't just sit here and say, okay, hey, we're okay. We need weapons in order for AR to be the quarterback we want to for the future. Give him more weapons. Don't do him like the Ravens did Lamar Jackson. Don't do that. Give him as much weapons as he can have on that field at one time, and let him work with that.
yeah, and you know what? I think my biggest issue also is the fact that we can talk about the fact that Shane said no, we need to get Jackson out of here. We need to get Baker out of here. But Ballard once again went out on a limb to say, hey, Deion Jackson is our guy. He's been consistent for us, this, that, and the other. And then he also said the same thing when it came to Baker. And the thing is, the Baker and Deion Jackson thing was very, very reminiscent of Julian Davenport, Matt Pryor, Ben Banagoo. Like having those guys that you know for a fact you should not have, like that are nothing more than have them being backups and being those guys that you could potentially maybe put in as a 1-2. But now you're saying that they are just full-time starters and they should be out there. Now, mind you, I kind of get it when it comes to Brents because Brents was hurt, so you kind of needed somebody like Baker. But also, Ballard had the chance to get guys like Marcus Peters. He also had a chance to get somebody like Byron Jones. He has, and mind you, regardless of injury history, Byron Jones would have been far, far better than having Daryl Baker out there and just saying, oh, yeah, he's going to be good for us. He earned the start because we know that Matt Pryor earned the start, and they had him play at every single position except for center last year, and he gave up at least 3 sacks at each one of those.
You're right about that. And another name too, Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller. And like these are the things that to me are indicative of the fact that he just like Ballard continues to kind of cheap his way through things. Now, once again, I think that Steichen might possibly have a little bit more say when it comes to who he wants in these systems and exactly who he wants in these teams. But to me, it's like we can't keep on just sitting there saying that what we have on this roster is good enough. Because, I mean, honestly, it's just like, yeah, we drafted a bunch of guys, but there's a bunch of guys that aren't here. And you know that any of those guys, like I said, whether it was Peters, whether it was Fuller, whether it was anybody, would have been fantastic as a replacement, but we were told that Daryl Baker was going to be good enough to do it. And then we saw Daryl Baker get beat like a redheaded stepchild. So like I said, I think that to me, unless if Chris Ballard changes his ways and he says, you know what, there's some things that I need to do, and then he goes out and he gets these guys that he knows are going to be immediate contributors, then that's fine. But the thing is, right now, it's kind of disheartening that we just continue to go in this cycle of, oh yeah, he's good enough, and then we see him on the field and we clearly see that he's not good enough.
I agree, man. I agree with your take. I mean, it's a good take, man. It's warranted, man. I have those same concerns. I just looking at how the team is right now versus where they were last year with a veteran quarterback, veteran head coach, and we was shitty versus a young quarterback, young head coach, first time head coach, first time OC, and we had 3-3.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to see what happens, but I hope that Ballard kind of wises up to the fact that, you're going to have to open up the wallet every now and then if you're trying to go and make things happen. So, yeah. But in the meantime,
at least Black Friday is coming for Chris Ballard.
I'll block you. I will block you. Okay? I don't listen. You can take that as a joke if you want. I will block you. But you know what? In the meantime, let's just quick predictions. So I know that it's just like we've talked about all the gloom and doom, but how are we feeling about this game? Now, mind you, the Browns have a very, very, very underrated defense that we're going to be going up against this week. Now, how are we ultimately feeling about this game? I'm going to say from an offensive and defensive perspective.
So offensively, we need to contain Myles Garrett as much as we can. You're not going to stop him completely. He's going to make plays, but just contain him as much as you can. Hopefully, we can get a run game going with both Moss and Taylor. I hope it's just a better run game overall. Also, Gardner Minshew played in the majority of 3 games before this last game, and he played well, and he just had a bad game. I think he's going to have a bounce-back game. He's not going to be throwing 3 interceptions or 55 times.
Yeah.
But I think defensively, I don't know if Watson will be back or if it'll be P.J. Walker or whoever they have at quarterback. But just get pressure on whoever it is and just force them to make bad throws and force turnovers. We got to win the turnover battle. And then I think that we will win a low-scoring game, 20-17.
Oh,
okay.
Not bad.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, like I always just said, man, we got to stop 95, man. The guy was, was it the game against the Titans where he was they had tight ends traveling with him?
Yeah.
Crazy. Wow, yeah. And I think one game he was playing like he was dribbling and still got the sack. I'm like, that guy's he's dangerous. I mean, then you just got Trent Williams that said, hey, this guy's a Hall of Famer. and he
Yeah,
beat him pretty bad. Yeah, so
Hey, the man's a maniac.
we don't have that on our team. We don't have a left tackle like that.
Yeah,
And
Bernard
so,
Raymond.
yeah, well, I'm scared.
Well, this
I'm
is
worried.
this is a major test for him because I don't think he's played
Yes.
anybody to the likes of him. Like I think Quentin Nelson played the majority of the snaps versus Aaron Donald, and even that was a tall feat for him. So yeah,
Yeah.
and also just to let you know, the Browns do have the number one defense in the league when it comes to passing defense and rushing defense.
Yeah. They only allow 1,100 yards. I mean, 1,000 yards in 6 games total.
Yeah,
Total in defense. So I mean,
so that means
that's
JT's going
impressive.
to run for 500 then.
So yeah, like you said, that's on offense, and we got to establish their run, no matter how tough it gets, because like you said, they are number one in rush defense and passing, and we definitely can't throw the
Yeah.
ball 55 times. I do think Gardner will throw picks because it's a good defense. Just like I mean, I'm not gonna say a great defense with Jacksonville, but they got turnovers, and we're going against a team that is number one in it, number one in defense. And I don't know who's going to be. I don't know if Watson going to play or not. I don't know any news on him. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know if it's DTR, Tessmer best friend,
Yeah.
or PJ Walker, who's a former coach. You see, beat the Niners. So I mean, I don't know who's out there. We got to get pressure on no matter who it is.
Okay.
But I think we're going to lose 31-17.
Okay. All right. So I want to say that I like this matchup because of the fact that I do feel like the Browns do have a good defense, but this is that time of year where you start to kind of run into, what you start to kind of run into teams that kind of change those complexions, right? So the thing is, I would feel much more optimistic about this game if Anthony Richardson was playing, without a doubt, 100%. But I do feel like there will be things that are designed to make sure that they're attacking things. Like Myles Garrett is going to be a problem. I mean, he's going to continue to be a problem. But
Yes.
the biggest thing for me is going to be that you understand that out of 70 plays, you only ran the ball 15 times. And no matter what the Browns are giving you when it comes to this defense, you have the opportunity to be able to just go ahead and change. We saw it when it came down to playing Tennessee the other day. So for me personally, I think Indy's going to be able to just run the ball a little bit better than what we actually envision. I like us in this game. But I do feel like, yes, it'll be something of possibly a low-scoring affair. Depending on if PJ Walker's playing, I'm definitely going to be low scoring. If Deshaun Watson's playing, I don't know. We'll see. But
He's not much better.
okay. All right.
Okay.
Colts 20-17. Call it what you want. Colts 20-17.
28-17.
Yep. And Wayne McAllister said, if you play fantasy football, pick up the Browns defense. Horse pucky. All right. So we're just gonna go ahead and just skim by that one altogether. But we are actually going to go ahead and get out of here because like I said, we've been here just talking trash. Hopefully brighter days ahead. Okay, Colts Nation. Let's just go ahead. Like I said, we're gonna get some mojo going. I know that things are looking a little bleak right now, but we'll be all right. Okay? Listen, we'll be good. So in the meantime, fellas, tell the people where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2.
Dos. All right, Josh, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Official Josh Senior.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at CJ Colts Fan. And like I said, just make sure that you are tuning in every Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. And as always, y'all know the deal. Y'all know the vibes. You already know. You know who Sam loves. Jalen